Left-wing Antifa agitators not listening to President Joe Biden's call for unity. Instead, they rampage through the streets of West Coast cities. Police declaring an unlawful assembly in Portland last night after far-left thugs attacked an ICE facility. Earlier in the day, rioters smashing windows at Oregon's Democratic headquarters. At least 8 people were arrested. In Denver, protesters burned American flags outside the state Capitol building. And finally, in Seattle, anarchists damaging an Amazon store, courthouse, and the country's first ever Starbucks. Republican Senator Tom Cotton warning that these rioters are not going to stop just because Joe Biden is president.
I remember the media and the Democrats blaming all this Antifa violence on Donald Trump, and yet here we have Joe Biden in the White House, and Antifa is still rampaging in the streets of Portland and Seattle and Denver. This proves the point I made months ago, proves the point I made 2 weeks ago, is that when you have a mob using violence for political ends, it doesn't matter what slogan they're chanting or what flag they're waving, they have to be met with force.
Sides getting very different treatment, Greg.
Well, I don't really care for the tone of your voice, Dagan, when discussing an idea. I mean, we've been told by our president that Antifa is an idea, and that's all it is. And clearly, if you look at the sheer numbers, Dagan, it is mostly peaceful. And remember, their dissent is patriotic. Yours, however, is criminal and shall be punished with censorship and deprogramming. However, I just got word that these peaceful protesters in Oregon have already been bailed out by Kamala Harris, Lady Gaga, and Chrissy Teigen, which is great news. Only a few of them are violent, so that's cool. But I really, the thing, what I find it, by the way, I'm kidding. That didn't happen. Yeah. I think the bottom line here is there's a difference in treatment because the Democrats, they pick their mobs, whereas the Republicans, we condemn them equally. We think Antifa's disgusting. We saw D.C. We felt that was disgusting. We just find the whole idea of lawlessness to be disgusting. We're just waiting for the Democrats to catch up.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Democrats, Dana, I want you to listen to this sound from John Brennan, who had something to say about, well, racist bigots and libertarians.
Members of the Biden team who have been nominated or have been appointed are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover as much as they can about what looks very similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas, where they germinate in different parts of a country and they gain strength, and it brings together an unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians.
Libertarians!
I wanted to play that so much because it's like actually a joke on Twitter that libertarians are a bunch of degenerates. And I don't know whether he was reading that and then just came up with it, but it's like fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, and even libertarians. It was so unintentionally hilarious to me. And the other thing I would point out is that I thought on the Antifa stuff, these cities have just accepted it. It's not novel. This is it's just right. Saturday night. Or whatever, like a Wednesday night. It just happens. As Ari Fleischer tweeted, I can't take credit for it, and I agree with everything. He said they should be treated the same as the Capitol rioters. Where's the digital evidence? Let's get the FBI on it. Let's look at the faces for the ones that are not, masked up completely. They should be treated the same as the rioters.
Yeah, after the riot on Capitol Hill, every conservative who I follow said, fine them, arrest them, prosecute them, put them in jail. But part of the problem, Juan, is, say, in Portland, where there was unrest or rioting violence overnight, Portland police, of all the cases that they've referred since the spring of last year for prosecution, that's about 75% of them the DA in Multnomah County has declined to prosecute. So it's like cases are referred and the DA goes, that's not really a crime, when it is.
I don't know what the thinking is behind that, because I think all this crime is to be condemned, Dagan. But I will say that when you see this kind of criminal activity, this kind of anarchist activity taking place under a new president, it indicates it's not political. They're attacking a Democratic headquarters there. So I think that this is quite different that when you see intentional violence against the United States Capitol in the midst of certifying an election that has been, stoked by the president himself, President Donald Trump, that's a political action. And I think we need to make a clear distinction, because I think right now you see a lot of people trying to distract or somehow say, oh, well, this is just like what happened. No, it's not just like what happened at the Capitol of the United States. This is not an effort to absolutely undermine our democratic processes. These are people who are criminal. These are people who may be anarchists, as I said. I don't know, but they should be condemned. They should be prosecuted. I don't think there's any question. But to say that it's somehow equal to what happened at the Capitol, I think that's an effort to distract and distort.
Crime is crime.
They've been
violence
doing it
is
for
violence.
9 months, Juan. Come on.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Years even.
Oh, yeah, 9 months. Yeah, I think what I saw was something that was so damaging to our
least 9
country
months.
that, even yesterday at the inauguration, people are talking about it and saying...
Why do you keep adding but? You condemn it, and then you go, but this is worse. You can't condemn it. That's your problem. You pick your mob.
I did condemn it. I condemned it unequivocally, but I'm telling you, and again, I'm telling you, not to be equated at your convenience with what happened at the Capitol.
Let me get Jesse in.
Convenience, please. It's called morality.
So Juan says it's not political, but they're chanting abolish ICE and defund the police. Where have I heard that before, Juan? Also, Juan, we were told that on Inauguration Day, there were going to be 50 armed militias surrounding every single Capitol protesting the inauguration. There were none. And they were all violent anarchists and Antifa and Black Lives Matter protests that were causing violence on Inauguration Day. So that narrative popped. Also, Juan, only 200 Trump supporters entered the Capitol out of 75 million. That adds up to 0.0002% of Trump supporters that did anything wrong. I remember during the War on Terror, when there was a terror attack and all these body parts are flying all over the world, and you guys on the left were always quick to say, you can't link that to Islam. You can't use that to justify spying on all Muslims. But here, when an infinitesimal amount of Trump supporters cause violence, you're ready to conflate it. You're ready to condemn all Trump supporters and take the entire national security state and investigate them like they're like radical domestic terrorists just because they voted for change. You can't have it both ways.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the president spoke to them. He told them to march to the Capitol. They did, and they tried to destroy democracy. I don't know how that's how that's to be confused in your mind.
I just want to add...
I'm not confused, Juan.
Jesse's not confused, and I will add what's different now about fighting terrorism is that these all-powerful, unchecked technology monopolies have been co-opted by the Democrats, and they're shutting down conservative speech, and they're putting businesses under. And that's dystopia, to use that left-wing word.